So the first attempt that people sort of make when they look at these problems in the traditional software development lifecycle is they want to change it, right? They want to drastically change the lifecycle. But we know that the actual waterfall methodology is not flawed from a process standpoint at the high level, right? It makes sense, the order of operations, from moving from your planning phases to your development phases to your testing phases. That actually makes sense. So the key is not actually to change this life cycle, but instead to shrink it. That's the core idea in agility, right? You take this idea called iteration, right? You iterate in these small cycles, and you reevaluate and you enhance over time, and you shrink the iteration. So, of course, the next question then is, well, how do you shrink the iteration? How is that possible? And the answer lies actually in unbundling, right? So instead of taking the features as one big unit of features, you spread them out into many smaller groups of features. So in this case, let's say we have groups of 3. You take the features, you break them into smaller groups of 3, and what you're doing is you take those 3 features through the life cycle, such that you've unbundled your risk, right? You have incremental value instead of bundled value. So you spend less money and less time on creating something that's deliverable. Of course, it's something smaller, but it's deliverable, so you get more information sooner. So there are many, effects with agility that go sort of beyond money and time, right? When you look here at the release cycle of a normal project, you see that if you follow the waterfall methodology, you sort of have one long release cycle, and at the end you have a feedback point. But in Agile, you have these shorter release cycles and more frequent feedback points. And those feedback points each serve as an opportunity to course correct, to modify what you're building, to reprioritize, and to do analysis with real users and sort of see, is what we're doing the right thing. So the outcome is you have decreased risk, more feedback and guidance, and less confusion, which, by the way, leads to more developer satisfaction. So incremental delivery may sound, sort of obvious, but it's not. And part of that is, that it's very challenging to accomplish this sort of life cycle. And the real reason to that is this idea called shippability. Shippability is what makes incremental delivery possible. And what it means is that the software is ready to ship to a customer or a user all the time, that it's bug-free, that it's stable, and it's working. So if you look at a normal Agile methodology project, and if you see here on the y-axis we have quality, and on the x-axis we have time, and the shippability curve here, or the shippability line is sort of the amount of quality it takes for the product to be shippable. In a regular project, in a waterfall project, the code is not shippable until the very end, until deployment, right? But in an Agile project, the code has to be shippable all the time. This is really hard. It takes a lot of work, and it costs overhead. It actually costs more in overhead to make this possible. But there's a cost associated with it, but it's worth it. For the reasons that we mentioned before. There's communication, there's feedback, and there's a higher quality product in the end. So in order to be successful in creating a shippable product, you have to have built-in mechanisms for quality, which Agile has. Right? You have, the first and perhaps the most important is continuous integration, which is, all throughout the project having this sort of automated and relentless testing. So there's a lot of specific ways that different Agile methodologies utilize to sort of keep quality high. You have test-driven development, you have feature-driven development, you have code review policies and procedures, and you have pair programming that many Agile teams utilize. So the idea here is you want tests to be automated, so it's easier to know when code is not shippable, and you want peer eyes on code to actually help you spot issues. So the outcome of implementing these core concepts That's the real thing. That's the real question. What's the outcome here? We have a smaller life cycle through unbundling. We have better communication, and we always have higher quality shippable code. So what does this do for us? And the answer is we create more value for the end user. So if you look here at Agile software development versus traditional waterfall development, you see that over time, first of all, Agile delivers value sooner, right? Because by unbundling the features, you deploy something to your users sooner. And you get that feedback. That's what all these little spikes are. You get this feedback, and you're able to then deploy something new and add more value to the product. So over time, by taking this iterative approach, what you do is you have a higher quality product in the end. And you take that guidance from the users and you use it to make an even higher quality product. So when you look back at our initial problems, feature shortfall and poor interfaces, you see that Agile sort of has the answer. You deliver the most important features first so they can be used immediately. And you enhance the interface from feedback from the real client and from the real users over time. So that's all. That's an introduction to agility at the highest level. So let's just quickly review. Most software development is characterized by failure. We have some staggering numbers here. And the key issues, of course, are predictability, poor communication, and high risk. And so enter Agile, which is really all about shrinking the iteration, unbundling risks, and keeping code in the highest quality or keeping it shippable. And the final result is a higher ROI, higher return on investment to create better applications. So before we go, just to review what we're going to talk about next time, this is the tip of the iceberg in Agile. What we've gone over here is a very high-level introduction. But we have to be sort of careful because a lot of people have this high-level introduction to Agile and they claim that they're an Agile expert sort of organization, and that's really dangerous because oftentimes fake Agile implementations create worse outcomes than waterfall implementations. So what we're going to talk about next time is sort of how to avoid fake agility, how to create really successful outcomes by mastering the iteration. That's the concept of the next talk. So thanks a lot for your time. Again, my name is Adil Wally. I'm the CEO of Crowd Interactive. I work at a wonderful Agile company that I'm really proud to be a part of. Of course, if you want to reach out to me, you can email me easily at adil@crowdint, or you can Twitter me at Adil Wally. Thanks again.